All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. So I've got a mountain of research here, all about geoengineering.
Oh, wow.
And it
Yeah.
looks like we're going to be diving into, well, a pretty controversial topic, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, this stuff gets pretty intense.
Yeah. I mean, from what I'm seeing here, it seems like it could be a potential solution to this whole climate change thing.
Potentially.
But there's also a lot of concern about, the possible risks,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, we're talking about messing with the entire planet's systems here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for this deep dive, I think our mission should be to really like break down what geoengineering is, right? Like, what are they actually proposing to DO,
Right.
and why are people so freaked out about it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's perfect. I think, the first thing we got to do is like define it, right? What is geoengineering? And basically, it's this idea of using technology to deliberately manipulate the Earth's climate system.
Liberally. Wow. Okay, so it's not just like accidental side effects, right? This is intentional.
Exactly. This is like saying, okay, the planet's warming up. We got to do something drastic to cool it down.
I see, I see. So they're basically proposing to fight fire with, well, more fire.
Kind of, yeah. It's like a planetary scale intervention. And the article you sent, it actually lays out a bunch of different methods they're considering. Some of them are pretty wild.
Okay, let's hear it. What are some of these wild ideas?
Well, one that's getting a lot of attention is something called stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI.
SAIR, that sounds pretty sci-fi.
It kind of is. Basically, they want to spray these tiny reflective particles into the stratosphere, kind of like creating a giant sunshade for the planet.
A sunshade. Okay, I gotta ask, how much would something like that even cost? Isn't dealing with climate change already gonna break the bank?
Well, that's the thing. This article claims that SAI could be way cheaper than switching to all renewable
Oh,
energy.
wow, cheaper, really?
Yeah, but, and this is a big but, it doesn't factor in the potential cost of unintended consequences. We could screw up weather pattern, harm ecosystems, even trigger some crazy geopolitical conflicts.
Oh, man. Yeah,
It's a gamble, to say the least.
a gamble, yeah, big time. Okay, I also saw something about making clouds whiter. That just sounds weird.
Yeah, that's called marine cloud brightening. It's basically spraying seawater droplets into the air to make clouds more reflective so they bounce more sunlight back into space.
Okay, so more sunlight bouncing away equals cooler planet.
Right, in theory. But again, there are risks. We could mess with rainfall patterns, maybe cause droughts in some places and floods in others.
It seems like every solution just creates new problems.
Yeah, it's tricky. Another idea they have is fertilizing the ocean with iron.
Iron. Like the stuff we make bridges out of.
The same. The idea is to help phytoplankton grow, and they suck up carbon dioxide during photosynthesis.
Oh, right, like plants. More plants, less CO2. I get it.
Yeah, but again, messing with the ocean's ecosystem could have all sorts of unintended consequences.
Like what? What could happen?
We could end up with these giant dead zones in the ocean where there's not enough oxygen, and that would mess up the whole food chain.
Okay, yeah, that sounds pretty bad.
It's a risk we don't fully understand.
So it sounds like a lot of these geoengineering ideas are like, well, they're treating the symptoms but not the actual disease.
Exactly. It's like trying to cure a fever by just taking painkillers. You're not actually dealing with the underlying infection.
And speaking of things that could make the situation worse, the article mentioned a company, Make Sunsets, that just went ahead and launched these sulfur balloons without asking anybody. And then there's Mexico. They've already banned geoengineering altogether. Doesn't this seem like it could get out of control really fast?
Yeah, that make sunsets thing, that really raised a lot of eyebrows. It shows how easy it could be for someone to just, take matters into their own hands. And that's scary, right? Who gets to decide when and where to deploy these technologies? What if one country's actions end up harming another country?
Yeah. The article mentioned the UN is trying to come up with some rules, but it doesn't seem like it's going too well.
It's slow going, yeah.
Hmm.
It's hard to get everyone on the same page when it comes to something this complex and potentially dangerous.
Okay, so the whole planet is a potential geoengineering site, but the article mentioned the Arctic as a particular hotspot. Like they're talking about brightening the ice up there, even building artificial icebergs. What's the deal with that?
Well, the Arctic is warming way faster than the rest of the planet, like twice as fast. And that's a huge problem because melting ice contributes to rising sea levels, which affects everyone. So some scientists are saying, hey, let's try to slow down that melting by making the ice more reflective.
Makes sense, but is that even possible? And what about the animals and people who live up there?
Right, that's the big question. The Arctic ecosystem is incredibly fragile, and any kind of intervention could have a ripple effect that we can't even predict.
So we could end up fixing one problem and creating a bunch of new ones.
It's a definite possibility. We already do some small-scale weather manipulation, things like cloud seeding to make it rain.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. Doesn't China do that a lot?
They do, yeah. They use it to try and increase rainfall in dry areas, and even to clear the air for big events.
Huh. So playing with the weather isn't exactly a new thing, but this geoengineering stuff seems like a whole different ballgame. So what do you think? Is it actually going to happen?
I think it's highly likely, unfortunately. The climate crisis is getting worse, and governments are desperate for solutions, even risky ones.
Yeah, I get it. People want quick fixes.
Yeah.
But as we've been talking about, the potential downsides are huge. So for all listeners out there, what's the one thing you want them to take away from all this?
I think the most important thing is to be aware of what geoengineering is, the potential benefits, and the very real risks. We need a lot more research and a lot more open discussion before we start messing with the planet's systems on such a massive scale.
Well said. So here's something for everyone listening to think about. If we do go down this road, who gets to decide when and where we use these technologies? And what happens if those decisions backfire?
Those are the big questions we need to be asking.
Exactly. Keep those questions in mind, folks, and keep diving deep. We'll catch you on the next one.